Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Fujifilm have blown up the market once again with the X-T2, X-T20 and the X Pro 2. In other words, all their latest gear. Oh, not to mention a certain medium format bad boy that's come out. So let's have a quick look at the X-T20, and by quick look, you know me by now, I'll try not to ramble. I'm a massive fan of the X-T range, obviously. So when any company brings out a new version of my favourite cameras, my favourite gear, it's always annoyingly tempting. Frankly, do we need it all? Do we need the extras? That's a whole different question. Oftentimes with certain technology, I just refuse to look at it, because then you look at what you own and you think, it's not as good anymore. But before you saw the new one, you're like, this is fantastic, I love it. So what does the X-T20 bring that the X-T10 doesn't have? And if you're new to it, should you go for it? And what about the X-T2? Should you pay more for that? Blah, blah, blah. Let's have a look close up. To me, this is a perfect looking camera. Yeah, it's small, but you've got a nice little grip there on the front. Check it out in store, rent it out, because if you've got a bigger hand, it might not be comfortable for you. I absolutely love the way it feels, but even for me, if I'm using it on a long day shoot, it can feel kind of small, but that's the point of it. On the top, it's a pretty similar deal to before. You've got a little switch to pop up the flash. Doesn't interest me so much. You've got a dial here, so you can see it's currently set to movie, bracket 2, bracket 1, continuous high, low, single, etc. Panorama right there. I tend to flick between bracket 1 because I have my film simulation brackets in there, and in this case, in this camera, the movie mode. Of course, you've got somewhere for your flash to live. Check out the Nissan flashes, they're decent. You've got your dial on the top for your shutter speed. Along here, you've got an auto and auto off, which is where mine always lives. You've got an on off there, and you've got your shutter release there, which, as you'll see, has the screw thread inside. And across here, something else that I really love, and I love the positioning of, and it's not too flush either. In fact, it sits above, just above there. You've got the exposure compensator, and in this case it goes to, as you see, C, so plus or minus 5, so that's an improvement. I do love that dial there. On this side, nothing. In here, your battery and your card lives. I find that doesn't flick out too difficult, although you want to make sure you close it properly if you're in a rush. Although, as you'll note, nothing falls out if you put it in properly. Standard screw thread there, and then you've got on this side your micro USB, you've got your HDMI, and, well, annoyingly, the 2.5 mic jack, so you need an adapter for that. So annoying that Fujifilm insist on using that little thing, but maybe it's a design thing, especially with this one. On the back, nice and straightforward. Delete, play, your diopter, your view modes, auto exposure, lock there, your autofocus, lock there, and you've got a little dial here for scrolling through the images. You can press it to zoom in and make sure your focus is correct. You've got a quick menu there, you've got the main menu button there, this 4-way here where you can assign your different functions that you want. That sits above nicely. Another dial on the front there, which you can also press. You've got your focus modes there, manual, continuous and single, and your lens release. Yes, we're living dangerously. We've got the XC 16-50 OIS 2 lens on the X-T20. Is that a fair test? Well, if you think that the XC lenses are apparently the lower end range, and you're testing it on one of the latest bodies with the latest process and sensor, you'd think if it can produce good pictures with the lower end lenses, of course with the higher end lenses, you're well away. Obviously, conversely, me having tested this lens also on this body means that maybe this body helps the lens out. Interesting. The thing fires up super quickly. It's ready to go almost immediately. That's not a problem. It fires dead simple as you'd expect. But if we throw it into high, now of course you need the faster lens. Faster lens is also definitely useful for sports sort of shooting, but you also need a faster card. But let's see. Well, I think that's going to kill the battery. I don't think we need to say any more about that, do we? I found the images, of course, just that extra bit more special. This has the latest X-Trans sensor and processor in it, and you can tell the difference. You can squeeze a little bit more out in low light. You get that a little bit more dynamic range. The colors of that extra bit more organic. Yeah, it's beautiful. Let me show you this screen. It's a touch screen. It's a bit behind other brands, frankly, but for my purposes, I really like this feature. You've got a little tab there where you can switch between area, off, shot. So shot, you press where you want to focus and it fires away. Go to AF, you can just put the AF wherever you want it on the screen. Notice the X-T20 doesn't have the joystick of the X-T2 and X Pro 2, so to get your focus, you're back into the menu down there. You can push down. In my case, you can push down. It's still recording to the memory card from before. There we go. You can push down and then you can press anywhere on the screen that you want there. Of course, you can change the AF point size and you can get real small now with the latest firmware. The touchscreen doesn't give you a fat lot else, but when you play back, you can pinch to zoom, which is very nice. And you can scroll through what you've got on your memory card. That's also pretty cool. So it's not fully functional. You go into your menu, you can't press anything in there. We can live with that, right? But I guess Fujifilm will step up with that. And that reminds me, if anybody out there knows of a way we can save our custom settings to a card and upload it to another body, that would be cool. That would be great if Fujifilm could implement that feature. Custom settings. It doesn't take too long to get all your settings into your latest body, or if you rent a camera body, it doesn't take that long, but it'd just be a nice little feature which I'm sure someone could program in. This shoots up to 4K, and to all intents and purposes, the video guys are saying it. I'm going to say it with my limited video experience, it's nice. This body doesn't have a flat profile, so you're not going to be able to squeeze the death out of the file, but it's nice. You could use it for B-roll, you could use it as a backup, or you could use it on holiday. I think with no problem at all. I mean, that's at 4K, and bring it down to 1080p and you're away. It works nicely and it's well implemented this time. You just flick round to the movie icon there, put your shutter speed relevant to your frame rate, so I'm going to 60 there, and then you can see how it is on the back. Now of course you might need ND filters if you want to shoot wide open, or you just turn the dial there to bring the aperture down to what you're happy with. And if you've got a stabilized lens, or if you've got a super steady hand, then you just press, half press typically, standard photography style, and then full press and it's shooting. And it looks decent, it's nice. I'll throw up some clips, they're not great, but you'll get an idea, unedited as well. Just so you can see. I apologise if they're a bit shaky or whatever, it was one of those days. These were really built for photography, but now Fujifilm are clearly stepping up. And that's why you'll see X-T2s, for example, used by very well-known vloggers out there. Not me, I'm not well-known. And I'm not good enough to shoot myself without a screen. Poor screen, poor camera, poor use. Bear in mind it's not weather sealed, and neither is this lens, but then neither am I. That might affect your usage. I don't think with this camera body that's going to be a big deal to you. Maybe the X-T2, that's where you need to be at. If you're new to the Fujifilm range, definitely check out the JPEGs on this. The film simulations are sweet, they're very nice. You can tweak the contrast, highlights, noise reduction, sharpening, shadows to your taste, and then you're away. Or you can just shoot raw like we used to do, I'm just kidding, and then enjoy the extra dynamic range that will give you. Clearly the birds and the airplanes want to get in on the action too, and that seems to be the way of the market at the moment. Everybody is jumping on board. Us early adopters now, well, we've got our gear from before and we're very tempted. The movie mode is now up there. It's now competing, it's now worth using. It's light, it's small, but it still fits nice in the hand. The touchscreen, although it's not fully featured, is very useful and very decent. The high speed mode is great. The exposure dial now going to 5. That's a good thing. And it's easy to use. There's no complications in there. If you want a crazy computer with 100 buttons, you might have to look somewhere else. This just does the job and gets it done quickly and nicely. Bear in mind, this is probably 85–90% of what you guys are getting with the X-T2, so it could be a great backup to your X-T2, or if you just can't afford the X-T2 and you can do without certain features like the weather resistance and the extra capabilities with the 4K, this could be a winner for you too. Now that's just a quick review, just a quick overview. You could look online, as I say, and get real deep in it, but it's just my thoughts. Get your hands on it and check it out. Yeah, do that. I think you'll fall in love with it the same as I did. Sorry about the background noise. That's what happens. You guys pay me and we can step it up a notch. I'm just kidding.